Hey everyone, this is Nikachu. I'm here with Michael Jax. We're here to get myself a toothbrush and some coffee.
For Terribles.
Terribles?
In Las Vegas.
That's a hell of a name. It's Friday. No, it's Thursday.
Thursday.
It's Thursday. It's a little confusing because this is a two GP weekend.
11:32.
We're both competing in Modern. I'm going to be there with Merfolk, with Fairy Conclave. Fairy Conclave, we better not underestimate Fairy Conclave. It's been doing good for me. I hope it's going to do very good this weekend. I just woke up today, realized I have 2 buys for this event. I thought I had
two.
I thought I had to work for them. I thought I was planning to play in the grinders, but now I'm not going to play in the grinders anymore because like, what do I need to? I forgot I'm a pro. I'm bronze pro for like 1 more month. I got to soak it up, and yeah. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to search the vendors for foil Japanese cards. I got to find those foil Japanese Fairy Conclaves, foil Japanese Deprives, foil Japanese Echoing Truth. I never thought I'd be playing Echoing Truth in a competitive REL tournament. I can't believe it. I couldn't part my ways with Vapor Snag, but you know, we got to deal with Ensnaring Bridge. It's come to that point. We got to deal with Ensnaring Bridge. Anyone can play Ensnaring Bridge. Burn can play Ensnaring Bridge. It's not good.
Yeah.
No good. So, Michael's getting some gas for us. Forgot to get the gas at the gas station. We are here in Vegas, and it is hot as hell here. Oh my God. This is not Winnipeg. This is not Canadian weather whatsoever. It's beautiful. Look at the beautiful Las Vegas. You got the palm trees. You got everything, but you're melting like crazy. You can't live outside like this. Truth be told, this place is an actual desert. All right, I'm here with Zeter. Zeter, tell us what you're gonna do at GP Vegas.
So I am playing white-blue walls.
White-blue walls, I love it. What's your win condition?
Nothing. I will wait all 60 turns. You can go first, and then I will draw you out.
Shouldn't you go on the play so that they draw an extra card?
You're right. No, you're right. That's right.
We're fixing the strategy.
So they gotta go first. So even if I win, you go first. Or if you win, I'm assuming you're gonna choose to go first. So then I draw out. I didn't think this part through.
Well, do you know what? I'll tell you what. They're gonna run fetch lands. They're gonna filter. It's no problem. So the idea is just draw go until they run out of cards.
That is correct.
You're gonna put up the wall. What kind of walls are we running this weekend?
We have I don't know, wall of ice.
Oh, wall of ice. That is a good wall.
Yeah. We got some wall of swords, so I can at least kind of kill your creatures.
How about wall of frost? We got wall of frost?
We do have wall of frost.
What about the hex-proof wall with
wall
reach?
Of denial.
Wall of denial.
Wall of denial.
Oh yeah, that's
easily the best wall in my deck.
Of course, that is.
I do actually have a win condition, but it's not likely. I am running a deck set of Rolling Stones.
Okay,
so
okay.
Walls can attack.
Well, that's the win condition right there. Boom.
Arms. But the issue with Coat of Arms is if I'm playing against another, clan deck, they also get the benefit. So I'm down my luck.
I see it could be problematic, but do you know what? Not a lot of clan decks out there.
You're running Merfolk.
Yeah, we're running Merfolk. Merfolk will be out there, but do you know what? I think you're going to be fine. Well, do you know what? You got to dodge Merfolk. You have to dodge humans.
I will have to. I did. One of my buddies is playing humans, and he wrecked me.
But that wall of denial will deny that Tarmogoyf all day.
Yes,
I love it.
And no one's getting through anything half the time.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, good luck with the tournament.
Thank you. You as well.
So the hunt for the foil Japanese cards did okay. I actually got a foil Relica Progenitus from this Pang Fei MTG. Also got 2 foil Unstable Islands. I was able to unload a bunch of my old cards to them. I was very, very happy, and I made contact with the owner so that I can get more foil Japanese cards like Deprive and Kira and this other stuff. He said he has the cards, but he didn't bring them because of he didn't think they were popular in America.
Look, it's alphabetized, and I'm gonna look over here for it.
And then, if you don't mind, can you pull me out a forest unglued?
Just one?
I'm here with Sam Goldman. Now he brought his Hollow 1 guy with him, so we're gonna play test some Hollow 1. Hollow 1 guy has lent the deck to Sam, and we're gonna play test because I'm not 100% sure about like what's the optimal God versus God premium like sideboard strategy. So we're gonna try to figure out what's the best thing Merfolk can do against Hollow 1 aggro. So playtesting with Sam, the Hollow One deck hasn't been doing so hot. We got the score is like 7-1 for Merfolk. Sorry, 7-2 for Merfolk. So I'm looking pretty good. I'm keeping the Dismembers in the deck. Dismember looks good. Bring in all the Echoing Truths. Keeping a little sprinkle of Spell Pierce and Relic of Progenitus. That's the plan. All right, let's see how this goes. How do you get that upside down? How do you make that mistake? That is so weird.
Very good.
Yeah, it's Vegas, baby.
Gotta cut corners. Gotta get that stuff done. So this is the room. We're here with Ryan Zacharias here.
Hello, friends.
Yeah. There's a bed. That thing will turn into a bed. This actually looks really fancy.
There's a regular stick jacuzzi tub as well.
We got a jacuzzi tub.
Merfolk Master.
Yeah. Oh! Oh, yes, we do. Please close the door slowly. That's me. Yeah, pretty nice looking room here. Staying here. Partially to avoid all the snorers out there in the world. And pretty good view. Where are we? The MGM Grand?
This is the signature at the MGM.
The signature.
Fancier MGM.
Fancier. So, you thought you liked your place at the MGM? Well, this is the fancier one. Da, 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 da. Ryan has a very tasteful display of everything he's got from the buffet. He's trying out crab for the first time in his life.
It's like pretty okay.
Pretty okay.
Like 8 out of 10.
8. Wow, that's pretty good.
I don't know what the standard is for.
I don't know what pretty
crab.
pretty okay for me is like 5.
Yeah.
And I've got an amalgamation of everything is delicious though. This fish is delicious. The sushi is delicious. This rice that I mostly ate is delicious. Haven't touched the fried chicken yet, but I expect that it's gonna not disappoint.
The time has come for cookie!
Let's go. Ryan forgot his water bottle. So Ryan, what happened yesterday?
I got wrecked with craps, and then in blackjack,
And then blackjack.
and then
A little
roulette.
a little bit of roulette. I bet $2
Yeah.
in roulette. I did not get there. It did not happen.
You had a cheaper rate than I did.
Huh?
You had a cheaper rate than I did.
That's right.
But we
Yeah.
had mediocre buffet.
I like that buffet. That buffet was
It's
great
okay.
for
It was
me.
light. It wasn't.
You shouldn't have got the crab. It's hard to eat.
Yeah.
You have to
Vegas.
pull. You have to break the legs and everything. That's just too much work.
Vegas trying new things though. It's like.
Oh yeah,
that'd be
it's a
thing.
place of experimentation. So for anyone who's been on this channel for a very long time, you remember how Max in Canada was about to be taken over by Circle K because it's the same company, but I didn't want to lose the owl in Max. But fortunately, Canada did not change. We still have Max. Circle K has stayed Circle K. The parent company, Alimentation Couche-Tard, didn't touch this thing. We just finished eating breakfast at IHOP. All known for their pancakes. How are those pancakes, Ryan?
They were great. How are your not pancakes at your pancake place?
I had eggs. I had like a breakfast that I could make at home. Except the hash browns. I can't make those hash browns. I like those American hash browns.
They are kind of nice, the shredded ones.
The shredded stuff. I love it. In Canada, it's all chunky and useless.
Oh, no,
Gross.
it's a chapel. You can go marry Merfolk.
Yeah, you can go get married at the little chapel. Can we see it? I can't. I don't know if I can see it.
Stratosphere in the background there.
Oh yeah, we got the stratosphere. Boom!
Oh, I'm glad you didn't do
So
that.
Adam Snapkeep Schultz wanted a signature from none other than Owen Turtenwald. He's doing a really good job.
What's your name?
Signing play mats.
Nice to meet you. Jacob. Nice to meet you. Have fun. Nice to meet you.
Good luck, Owen.
Nice meeting you.
So we're with Michael and Jake, and they had a fantastic round one.
Fantastic.
What happened?
1-2.
What? Yeah. Well, you gave it a fight. What happened, Michael?
1-2 versus Goblins.
Goblins, not the best matchup for Merfolk.
Good Goblin pile driver in there.
Well, what are you running, Jake? What are you running this weekend?
Well, I'm running Green Tron.
Green Tron. Hopefully can beat up the goblins.
Hopefully.
Get revenge.
I play that guy.
So what did you play against in round
I
one?
played against Affinity, and I lost 1-2.
That really disheartens me because I want to hear all the Affinity players losing. I also want to hear all the Goblins player losing, so it's not the greatest news for me.
You got 2 buys. You'll do it.
I have to hope that round 2 opponents
Hope the Goblin
will beat
player
those
wins.
guys so they don't make it to round 3.
You hope the Goblin player wins, then you play the Goblin player, and then you stomp him.
I would love to stomp the Goblin player. I'd rather not play them at all.
That's fair. The matchup is not great.
All right, we have Luke here. What are you on, Luke, this weekend?
Playing some elves.
You're playing elves.
Yeah, some Golgari elves.
So how was round 1 for elves?
Pretty good, you know, tough matchup against my non-existent opponent.
Yeah, the opponent. This was the opponent right here. Did not show up, did they?
No.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I guess they were too busy gambling or drinking the night before.
Right.
The Vegas night got to the Vegas nightlife got to them.
It did.
Rough matchups, you know, sideboard game I heard was pretty hard, but he pulled it through.
Yeah.
You pulled it through.
It's Greg Hatch. Oh my God.
You know I'm playing your deck card for card?
You are?
Yeah.
It's a great deck. You know what? I wanted to squeeze in one more Echoing Truth. I didn't know where to put it, and I said, F it, we're just gonna run 3.
Yeah, no, I like the 4/4. I figured it's too arrogant to build my own deck because I haven't been playing in a year.
Okay. No, it's fine. It's a great deck. I've lost like once with it.
I feel like, I like the idea of Fairy Conclave, but I feel like, I top out at 3, but I played 4 because I figured you guys knew what you're doing. You and Miyashi or whatever, that M.
Yeah, that M Hayashi guy sort of convinced me as well.
Dude, that guy's killing it online. That guy's, that's ridiculous.
I don't know what his win rate is, but my win rate is very high. Like I am not losing
There
at
was
all.
in the last 3 or 4 weeks, you guys had 6 5-0s between you two.
Yeah.
So,
there's got to be something to
hard
it.
to argue. No, I just lost round 1 though. I do the 4 dismember hand. It's always the one.
Against?
The green-white deck. So
That's good.
well, you would think so, right?
Well, usually it's good.
The 4th one hurt, man.
All right, whatever. All right, good luck. Good luck, Greg. What do you do, Jake?
I beat Ad Nauseam somehow.
Oh, you got there?
I got there.
Ad nauseum says hi. So I have it's like 2 o'clock. I haven't even played a game of Magic yet. You should have heard the booing at GP Las Vegas. They made an announcement, all modern players in the double up. The problem is that we've been already waiting for over an hour, way over an hour after the round was done. And they were having massive complications, difficulties with the pairing system. I don't understand why their software is so bad. You know, I don't know who to blame. Should we blame Wizards? Should we blame Channel Fireball? Because Wizards isn't pushing the issue to make a better software. Like, this is not the first time pairing software has had complications. This is like the millionth time. So, anyway, I'm out for lunch. Gonna eat something because it's been so long. It's almost 3 o'clock. Oh, we got a fan here. Hey, what's your name?
Rigel.
Nigel?
With an R.
Rigel. We're here with Rigel. How you doing, Rigel?
Doing all right.
Excellent. What are you playing this weekend?
What do you think I'm playing?
Oh, excellent. You're on Merfolk?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm on spicy though.
Oh,
Part
more
of
spicy.
M.
Huh?
Part of M Hash.
Okay, what are you running?
Chalice.
Running Chalice of the Void. Gonna
The
beat up
main.
those Bogles decks. Those Storm decks, they don't have a chance. What do you play against in the first 2 rounds?
First round I buy.
Excellent. Easy.
Second round I lost.
2?
Mardu Pyromancer.
That's a tough one. But you know what? I think Chalice is pretty good there too.
It is, but they have Kolaghan's Command and Collective Brutality.
So they have answers to our answers.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, good luck in the rest of your rounds.
Thank you.
I finished up some signature business with Rigel there. Yeah, so what's with the pairing system? Why can't it be easier? Why can't they fix this? Why are there complications at all? This doesn't sound like a very comprehensive, complicated program, but maybe someone could tell me otherwise. Maybe some programmer or something, but anyway. That's that, and we're gonna eat at Quizno Sub. Very fast, easy food to eat. They got all the sandwiches prepared. You don't even have to tell them what to put on the damn thing. They got it ready. Amigo,
Me.
yeah. He
Untitled Amigo.
loves Merfolk, but he also loves something else today.
That's true, I do. I'm actually playing a deck called Pyro Prison.
Pyro Prison.
It is a mixture of Free Win Red and a deck called Bloody Humans, and I can't remember who came up with that. But it's been in the development on the MTG Salvation forums for about 2 years now, and we just got moved to the established deck section, so that's pretty cool.
And you're helping it establish it.
I am attempting to get it on camera. That is the goal for today. Either
for all the MTG
on camera or in the top 8. So, what else do you want me to say about it?
What did you beat in round 1?
So
what's your score right now?
Right now I'm 2-0.
Oh yeah.
Out of two matches so far.
No buys. You're doing it the hard way.
Doing it the hard way. So round 1 I beat Grishel Brand in 2-0, which is pretty fantastic. My opponent got Blood Moon locked in game 1, and then in game 2...
It's hard to cast Goryo's Vengeance through a Blood Moon.
This is very true, especially when he draws 2 cards and you get to duress his hand and take a Goryo's Vengeance.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Judge?
Exactly. Anyways, in game 2, it was really fantastic because I played out Chalice on 1. He couldn't filter his cards.
Yeah. Goodbye, Faceless Looting.
And then I played a turn 2 Rabblemaster. Goblin Rabblemaster, and my opponent makes a look that was exactly like this.
Yeah, it's over. It's over.
And he says, I guess I'm losing to Goblin Rabblemaster today.
That's happening.
It was pretty funny.
That's awesome.
I beat Burn in match number 2 in 3 games.
Did Blood Moon do anything?
Did Blood Moon did something in game number 1.
Oh yeah.
I did not see a Blood Moon in game number 2.
Okay. You kept them in.
I kept 3 in.
It does affect
took
them.
out 1.
You know, it does.
Yeah, and I was scared of destructive revelries.
Everything.
In game number 2, I won off the back of going into Chalice on 1, then a Chandra upticking plus Desperate Ritual, upticking it for mana plus Desperate Ritual for a Goblin Chain Whirler.
Oh.
And then following that up with the Stormbreath Dragon the next turn.
Chain Whirler.
Oh yeah, it's a spicy
here.
one of, because it's great against Mardu Pyromancer.
Wow.
Yeah,
and that's a beat all the Mardu Pyromasters for me. I don't want to play against that deck at all.
I'll try to get it for
against
you.
Affinity. Oh man, this. You know what?
See, I've got a really great matchup against Affinity and Bogles. They're almost free wins for me.
Of course.
So I'll try to get them all for you.
Oh, excellent.
And then in game number 3 of match 2, I went turn 1 Chalice on 1.
Yeah.
Into Chalice on 2 a couple of turns later. Into Chandra, into Stormbreath Dragon.
Chalice of the Void, also an ally of Merfolk, doing a great job.
Yes, I agree. I actually
Blood Moon Prison deck.
I was building Merfolk in Legacy. That's when I bought my Chalices.
Right.
And then that's about the time that Masters 25 came out, and I thought, well, you know what? I may as well build Red Prison because like all the cards are in that set.
Yeah.
So
excellent.
So so here I am. The GP Vegas with my favorite Merfolk player.
Fantastic. Well, nice. Thanks for sharing that with us, Tice.
Of course.
They just made the announcement that everyone in the main event is going to get a free entry to another GP, which is great. And in round 3, they're having trouble processing the drops, so you could be playing against an empty chair in round 3. So we gotta wait and see what happens. I might still not play a single round of Magic yet.
Do it. Beat that chair.
Yeah, beat the good chair. So I'm here with Tuxdev. Oh man, did I get lucky in that game. My opponent had everything. They Living Ended. They had Fairy Macabre in hand, forgot to Fairy Macabre, my creatures in my graveyard, my only 2 creatures. Yeah. And then they brought a Shriek Maw back from the graveyard, missed their trigger.
That was a standard thing.
So missed the trigger on the Shriek Maw, which let my Lord of Atlantis that came back from the graveyard to live, and then attack in with Island Walk. It was that was lucky. It was on game 3. I should not have won that game. My opponent played very well up to that point. What are you doing here this weekend?
Legacy side events.
Legacy side events?
Double up.
You also brought, what other decks did you bring?
Papa Slivers, basically Merfolk.
Basically Merfolk.
And a weird Turbo Fog thing.
And a weird
Jace's Erasure is the win condition.
So Jace's Eraser needed a home. And I guess this is it.
It's really weird.
So you just fog, and then...
Fog. Moment's Peace is disgusting as a card.
Right. Yeah, blue-green.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Attack? Oh, fog.
accumulated knowledge is like the most ridiculous draw engine that I've ever experienced like in a long time.
Right.
Especially for poppers. It's like draw all the cards.
Watch out, Popper is going to be the new biggest format in Magic. Very rare playmat. So rare, there's only one in existence. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, by Tuxdev right here. Got, who do we have over here? This is Master of the Pearl Trident?
Yes.
Who are these people?
Curse Catcher?
Oh, Curse Catchers. We have some Curse Catchers.
It's also a different one too.
This is definitely Silvergill Adept.
That is Silvergill Adept.
Wonderful.
Look at what he's holding.
The Chalice?
Yeah!
The Chalice.
And there's also the blue Curse Catcher.
I missed True Name. True Name's over there.
Yeah,
sneaking. You don't see him coming.
Yeah, and then there's the blue Curse Catcher.
Blue Curse Catcher?
Blue Curse Catcher.
Who's the gold Curse Catcher?
Gold Curse Catcher is Curse Catcher.
Who's the blue Curse Catcher?
Phantasmal Image.
Aha! And you see the glow. The glowy glow around this thing. Oh, yeah, let's
and
play
then,
what do we have up here?
Whoa. Copter.
Oh, Copter.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We got the Copters going on here. We got the whirling of the Copter.
And then, of course, it's set to my favorite island.
Oh, your favorite basic island?
Yeah.
The you were just mentioning it earlier.
Yeah, the Asian Pacific Japan promo.
Beautiful. There we go. Congratulations for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That's insane. I mean,
it's just the tag name for my stream. I don't think I've actually done 20,000 leagues, but it's just just cute. It's just a cute name.
You broke the magic already.
Hey, it's just punny. That's all.
So 1 round 2 just wiped out Affinity. Wasn't even close. Had Merfolk Tricksters both games. Oh, Merfolk Trickster just completely ate up my opponent in Game 2, eating a Signal Pest. They're on a 1-lander and they could not come back from that. It was impossible. And even in Game 1, it like tempoed them out completely. Cranial plating, no problem. You can have as many cranial platings as you want. You're just cranial plating something, and I Trickster it down. Just completely, I raced Affinity. You ever think about us racing Affinity? That never happened. It happened today. Met Sam. Sam was she's a wonderful viewer. She told me she didn't do well in the event, but she's very happy to see me. Shout out to Sam. And yeah, so that was it for round 2. I was up. I won so quickly. My opponent left before we got the result sheet. So there's that. Round 5's in the books. Beat Humans. Really nice opponent. His name was David. It was very echoey here. For the round 1, we had a game. It was a Champion of Parish versus the Lords. But you know what? The thing that really made me win was that they had a lot of meddling mages. So in Game 1, David played Meddling Mage, naming Master of the Pearl Trident, when really I had my hand was just full of Lord of Atlantises, and I was able to tempo out my opponent enough so that I was able to push enough damage through. My life total went like really, really low. Dismember, actually, maybe a dubious card in this matchup, but you know, a necessary evil. And then, yeah, so that was Game 1. My Lords got in there for victory. Actually, I remember Game 1, they had a ton of power in play. He was threatening lethal, but fortunately, I had Merfolk Trickster, which could tap down his defenders. He made a good attack, leaving some defenders just in case I would make a counterattack. So he made a good, valiant effort, but I tapped down one of the blockers, and that was enough for me to be able to swing for lethal. I needed to do that. So Merfolk Trickster came through for me there. And then, of course, there was Game 2. His hand was just like Meddling Mages. Meddling Mage 1, named Harbinger of the Tides. Meddling Mage 2, named something else. And it could not compete with my Lords. It could not compete with Silvergill Adept. I Dismembered 1. I Merfolk Trickstered a Thalia's Lieutenant so it wouldn't get out of control. So yeah, I scooped that up. And so shout out to David from Las Vegas. Loves Las Vegas. I love Las Vegas. How can you not like this place? Great weather, tons of events, largest GP ever in your backyard. What's not to love? What's your name?
Leo.
Leo has some advice for Andrew Day 2 Dryden, who plays Burn in Modern.
Stop drawing lands.
Stop drawing lands.
Don't do it.
Any Burn player will agree with that. After 2 lands, it's no more lands.
It's over. Yeah. Yeah. We have an update on Jake over here, young Magic Prodigy. What's your score right now?
I am 3-2 right now.
All right, so you're still in it, and you just played against what?
Storm. I beat Storm 2-1, and it's probably the worst matchup that I have.
Yeah, Tron does not want to see Storm.
Never, ever.
Like what can you do? I mean, they just combo off.
Well, let me tell you, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Game 1, I mulled the 5, had 1 land. I just wanted to see what he's playing. So he basically played out his Storm cards, casted gifts, I conceded without playing anything.
Okay, right.
So he didn't know what I was playing. We go into Game 2, I boarded in a bunch of hate.
What's the hate you got?
Mostly it was Warping Whales, Leyline of Sanctity, Thought Knot Seers, Graph Digger's Cage.
Oh yeah, the spicy Thought Knot Seer in your sideboard.
So I brought all that in. Game 2, he mulls to 5, barely has a hand, and I just cast Ulamog and win the game.
Oh!
And then Game 3, we actually play a game of Magic, where we both keep like 6 and 7 card hands.
Yes.
So I ended up keeping a decent 7-land Tron hand on like turn 4, something like that.
Okay.
So it was a decent hand that could maybe beat it, and I top decked Warping Whale. So when I eventually got Tron, I just had to sit on it.
That's fine.
And he started to combo off. He had 5 mana, and he was tapped all the way out, but he had a Brawl and an Electromancer.
Of course.
In play. Or not an Electromancer. Is that what it is? Goblin
Goblin
Electromancer?
Electromancer.
Right. Anyway, so he cast Past in Flames, I Warping Whale in.
Boom!
And he has only enough mana to bring back the Past in Flames, but not cast anything else.
Right.
I have a map in play. I then sack the map to go get a third or a second tower.
Okay.
And he was like, "That's 10 mana, right?" And I was like, "Yep." And he's like, "Do you have it?" And I was like, "Yep." And I just showed him Mugen, and he conceded, or Ulamog, and he conceded.
Ulamog, boom! Eat up your lands.
Yep.
Oh no!
Eat up his 2 Electromancer type deal.
Just
and then he
yeah.
just didn't have the mana.
I see.
Because his hand wasn't full. He was gonna win that turn, or he wasn't.
Right. So how much? So I guess they had only like 3 lands in play or something like that.
Yeah, he had 3 lands.
Yeah, you're not gonna get the flashback on Past in Flames with that.
No, he was tapped out. I somehow did it. We're still in hopes for day 2.
But you know the funny thing is, is it exile all the cards? Is that what it does? So they don't even go. They don't even go to the graveyard.
Yeah. Ulamog does exile those cards. Yeah, it's so good. It feels so good.
So I'm here with none other than Sam I don't know. Cucharella, recent winner of the SCG Open in Minneapolis with humans. You're like the Little Mermaid. You graduated from fish to human.
I married Prince Eric. The tail fell off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So congratulations, Sam.
Thanks, sir.
And I was just, how's your tournament going?
The tournament's going okay. 4-2 with humans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm still fairly new to the deck since the Open was my first time playing it, and I haven't really played it since very much. So hey.
Hey, but you know what? You know, you're a natural with the deck. Yeah, right. Let's just say that. So let's talk a little bit about Lodestone Coffee and Games. Because the hilarious thing is, who's the owner of this store?
Well, I'm not even positive. So I think Ryan is one of the 4 owners.
Ryan Overturf.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, whatever. I know he's like one of the guys in charge. Yeah. So I have a hilarious story with Ryan Overturf. And maybe you people know the story, you just don't know the name behind it. So I'm in 2015 GP Omaha. I'm up deep in the tournament against Ryan Overturf. And he's playing Blue-Red Delver, and I'm playing, Merfolk, of course. And then he asks me, with the Master of Waves in play, how big are your elementals? Because I had 2 Master of Waves in play. So, maybe it's a little tricky math. How big are the elementals? And I said, I don't have to. Are we going to damage? And he says, well, you have to tell me how big they are. No, I don't. And then he calls the judge, and he tells the judge, this guy's not telling me how big his creatures are. And the judge sort of looks at him, well, he doesn't have to tell you how big the creatures are. They're derived information. So Ryan looks at the judge, looks at me, and then eventually I tell him, well, you can ask him. You can ask the judge how big the creatures are. And then we get the judge to figure it out. But anyway, that was my first encounter with Ryan Overturf, but I had no idea. So like 1.5 years go by, and he becomes commentator for Star City Games. And I'm like, this guy looks so familiar. and he sounds so familiar. But maybe that's just the face, maybe it's just the voice. And then 2 years later, out of nowhere, I'm watching the stream and I'm like, I played against him at GP Omaha. Why the hell is he asking me how big my creatures are? He's the commentator. You should know how big the creatures are. Ryan, you should have known. Why are you asking me? How did you get this job?
It was a moment of maturity towards commentating.
Get on with it!
Right. You have to work his way there. But anyway, he's got a great games and coffee shop. You know, one of my favorite. I love Magic, and I also love coffee. I would love to. What kind of coffees do they offer there?
You know what? You know when you order like a latte and they have like the nice shape on top?
Yep.
They have that, and it's on point. So
is Ryan good at that?
I don't know if Ryan does it. Zach.
But Ryan knows someone who does know how to get that. It's all beautiful. Can I get a mocha there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
2 mochas.
I'm gonna get as many mochas as I can. I gotta visit the shop. Where is it?
Tell them you plugged them. Maybe they'll hook you up with a coffee.
Maybe.
They are in Minnetonka.
Ship me that coffee to Winnipeg, Manitoba.
They're on like the west side, the far west side of the Minneapolis suburbs.
Right. So. Well, I like it. I like the story. You know, you went from guy who was asking me how the Baron toughness because I use that as the foundation of a video about derived information. You know, it was Ryan Overturf in that. It was Ryan Overturf. You know, then he becomes SCG commentator.
He opens a game store.
Opens a game store. That's cool stuff.
You guys got to check out look up Lodestone YouTube. Wizards did like a backstory.
Oh yeah, they did. Apparently, all the plugs to Lodestone.
Because the Magic the Amateuring gals are local to the Twin Cities, so I think they
right. Yeah, they're in Minneapolis.
Excellent shop, fantastic place to play. They don't pay me to say this.
Yeah, they're not paying him. He likes the shirt.
It's just a nice
store. Likes the shirt.
Yeah.
I like my shirt too. All right, thanks a lot, Sam.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Hey, we're here with Max. How you doing, Max?
How's it going, guys? I just wanted to shout out Jack Kramer from San Francisco he continues to play Merfolk, even though we all mock him for it. He keeps grinding, keeps playing, he gets those 2-1s, 3-0s, wins those PTQs.
Persevere.
He keeps persevering, and he loves you, Nikachu, so so just keep doing it, Jack. We wish you the best of luck.
Keep going, Jack.
Yeah, you got this.
So Tuxtev, really great eye. I knew where the foil Japanese deprives are. Oh,
wait.
Where were they? They're right at home, right here. $20. Not even gonna blink. Got myself too. Fulfilled the place that I'm super happy. The trading post. They trade for good stuff. That's all I can tell you. So I'm back in the hotel room. I don't remember if I talked about round 6 and up, but we're gonna do it right now. Round 6, I'm up against Titan Shift. And you know what? I might have been sweating a little bit because I lost game 1, like just helplessly. They just rolled me over. But in game 2, we saw the power of Tectonic Edge. Tectonic Edge kept them off 1 land from really going off. They had quite a bit of air. They couldn't really go off, but it didn't matter. I had tons of deprives in my hand. I was ready for everything. You're going to play Scape Shift. You're going to play Primeval Titan. Doesn't matter. I have deprive. And there came a point where the guy tried to Nature's Claim their own Prismatic Omen because they had a Bloodbraid Elf in play, and I was attacking with 2 Lord of Atlantis for the win. So they tried to Nature's Claim their own Prismatic Omen because it turns their lands into islands. They tried to block with Bloodbraid Elf, and I'm like, I have Island Walk. So anyway, I had to counter it with Deprive. I didn't really want to show them the counter spell. They didn't know what counter package we have. Deprive is new. It's new great tech. So yeah, well, they got to see it. Didn't matter. Well, in game 3, I thought I might lose because I had Cavern of Souls as my second blue source, and again, I have all these deprives in my hand. How am I going to cast this thing? But fortunately, my opponent didn't threaten any. They were choked on land. I Tectonic Edged them again, and they could not really get their game going. And I was applying pressure every single turn with like a Mutavault and some Merfolk Trickster. It was great. And so yeah, that I sealed that one. I sealed that one up. Eventually they had to make a move, but they tapped themselves out, and they were at 4 life, and I attacked them with some Mutavaults for the win. Then round 7, I'm up against Jerry Thompson. So Jerry Thompson, I won the die roll, but I had to mulligan, and I'm pretty fearful about mulliganing because I was pretty certain that he was on Mardu Pyromancer. It's what he's been playing for quite a few months now. And that is such a strong attrition-based deck. You don't want to screw around with that deck, and Jerry's a great player, so I know going down to 6 cards versus 8 at the beginning, that's not where you want to be. And I mean, I had a pretty good hand. I was really slow to start. It was pretty clunky, but I was able to eventually get the game going. But the problem is Jerry played like Young Pyromancer into Young Pyromancer, and as he kept sniping my creatures down, he kept making tokens. Fortunately, I had a lot of Mutavaults, and I kept throwing my Mutavaults away into the tokens, because if I don't apply pressure and force him to block and kill them, then he would just kill my Mutavaults with removal in the future if I try to block and then just make more tokens and I take more damage. So that's not where you want to be. So I stayed on the aggressive, but still, I almost... I mean, I don't want to say I almost ground him out, because he still had a commanding lead. He had a lot of Faithless Lootings in his graveyard. And then the icing on the cake was that after his hand was exhausted and he killed all my creatures, I finally draw Dismember, which was like really, really late, because all those tokens were eating my Mutavaults and other creatures. So game 1 goes to him. Game 2 was very interesting. Very, very interesting. That would have been a great feature match game, where he plays Engineered Explosives on 2 very early, and I have to try to play around this. So what I do is I play a Merfolk Trickster, just flash it in for basically no value, and I don't put any more 2-drops on the battlefield. I try to attack with Manlands, and I try to attack with Merfolk Trickster, and he taps out to play Lingering Souls, and I offer a trade between the Merfolk Trickster and the Lingering Soul tokens, and I think he declined he declined at first. He wanted to get more souls out. But I'm offering these trades so that I exchange the tokens with my 2-drop, then I can play more 2-drops. I don't want to commit more 2-drops. I don't want to get 2 for 1 from the Engineered Explosives. And then he taps out to play the second half of Lingering Souls, and I don't know what else he played in the same turn, but then he taps out for the second half of Lingering Souls, and I was able to Echoing Truth them all to his hand, and then attack with a bunch of Manlands and my Merfolk Trickster, putting his life total down further. He was going down on life, and there came a point, so I play a Master of Waves. He is able to kill it, but he has to fetch to activate Revolt. But anyway, there came a point where he has a bunch of cards in his hand, and at end of turn, he Kolaghan's Commands, targets himself, discards a card. Then I think he Inquisitioned himself, discarding another card, because in the end he played Ensnaring Bridge with 1 card left in hand. And I only have 1 more Echoing Truth in the deck. And I'm like, oh my god, what am I going to do? But fortunately he's at 1 life. And he ended up top decking a bunch of fetch lands, and we kept passing the turn back and forth. I'm waiting for this Echoing Truth. I'm getting so many turns to do it, and all I have to do is attack with a Fairy Conclave or a Master of Waves. So I'm trying to think, how else can I win this game? Like, if he's got like a Lingering Souls in hand, that's a white spell, then maybe I can wait for him to draw another one. Maybe he can, what could he do? Maybe I can Merfolk Trickster a creature and then bounce it back to his hand with Harbinger and then attack for the win. So we have this super long game. Eventually he finds 3 Young Pyromancers, and then after enough cantripping and enough playing spells, he had enough 1/1s in play that he could just go wide and swing for the win against me. And it wasn't until now, just a few minutes ago, that I think I found the winning line. Because in the entire time of this game, I have this Dismember in my hand, and I feel like it's useless. And you know what? Jerry was Inquisitioning me, and he wasn't touching the Dismember either. But turns out, this Dismember was the route to victory, because I had 2 Master of Waves in play, and I neglected playing Lords. I neglected playing any of my creatures. I didn't want to make anything big. I should have just played all my Lords, played 2 Lords, played my Master of Waves, which were already in play anyway. I had 2 Master of Waves in play. Activate Mutavault. It's a 6/6 creature. I should dismember my Mutavault to a 1/1 creature, and then Island Walk Swing for win. I just thought about that now. Maybe that line didn't really exist, but I missed the idea. And we were passing the turn back and forth for like 10 turns. I'm sure it was there. I'm sure the line was there, and I missed it. So that's too bad. I mean, there was still a 3rd game to be played, so it doesn't mean I win the match, but it would have been nice to go to Game 3, especially in such odd style. And then in the my final round, I lost to Counter's Company. In game 1, I mean, they just had everything. They went like Noble Hierarch, Devoted Druid, and then completely comboed off. There was nothing I could do about that. And in game 2, I had a very good hand, actually. I had a lot of interaction. I had Dismember for the first Devoted Druid, and I had a Deprive in hand, and I had a really good clock, but unfortunately my opponent was just threatening infinite mana too many times, and one of them resolved. I think I played well. There was a turn I did not swing with any creatures. I had Island Walk with a Master of the Pearl Trident in play, but my opponent had 1 mana up, and I did not want to attack because if they had Path to Exile, they would really blow me out. They would kill my Master of the Pearl Trident. They would block my Merfolk, one of my creatures, with the Voice of Resurgent, and then I would have no army. I would have nothing going for me. But by playing around Path to Exile, I ended up not having a winning clock on the following turn. Whatever. I like how I played, and unfortunately my opponent had I had Deprive up, but my opponent had 2 ways of finding infinite mana for a victory. So good for them. So I finish off X2. So I'm gonna make day 2, which is good because I haven't made day 2 in a GP in a long time. Feels like forever. Shouldn't be that hard for me, especially with 2 buys. So I make day 2. I think this is the first time I make day 2 with 2 buys as well. So yeah, that's gonna be that. I'm gonna need to win out for the rest of the day in order to make the top 8. If I don't make the top 8, whatever. I'm gonna take it 1 game at a time. It's possible. It's possible. If anything else, going X and 3 would be also good, so long as the list gets published. Get some people excited about Merfolk, but it's gonna be a long day tomorrow. It's gonna be 7 rounds. The day ended so late. I mean, what time is it? I think it's 12 o'clock right now, so I better go to bed, and I have to wake up at 8 o'clock and catch a lift, and then go to McDonald's or whatever, and yeah, get to the convention center where the round starts at 9. Unbelievable. They make us stay for forever, and the round still starts really early. It's day 2. Got my coffee. I'm not really a Starbucks person, but it's the most available store at the moment. So we're just gonna have to make do. I slept pretty well. X and 2, 7 more rounds. I'd love to be on stream, but basically I have to win. I can't lose any games because they're not gonna show any people who are dead for top 8. But yeah, we're gonna see what happens. Well, this is not good. I have not eaten breakfast yet, and I was really depending on this damn thing. All I have is my coffee now. It's not ideal, but I'm pretty sure I can last like 1 more hour, but still, ideal is that you're fed and nourished. I was just donated. Got sweet hologram here.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So Amir, I just earned 400 tickets from the Modern PTQ, and now the prize wall is mobbed. Mobbed, I say. This is horrible. So I'm back in Canada. I couldn't really finish vlogging for the weekend back in Vegas because I was super low on energy. Like, I was a little bit tired. I know I slept pretty well, but still the really long day, the day before, still had a little bit on me. And I was just lacking energy in general, so wasn't feeling it, but I can still give you the recap of what happened that weekend. So in round 9, I am up against humans, and in fact, my opponent, as I sat down, asked me, "You're the Merfolk guy, right?" Yes, I am the Merfolk guy. So they started off with like, I don't know, champion of the parish or something. I was able to win game 1. Game 2 went in my opponent's favor, and I remember in game 3, that was a stressful game. I was down to 1 life, my opponent was at 6, and I couldn't really close it out. My opponent had a lot of gas, and unfortunately, I lost to the dreaded Staticaster plus Phantasmal Image copy Staticaster combo, and I couldn't not get enough power on the board. My weak little Harbinger of the Tides and Merfolk Tricksters, they couldn't do it for me, and I couldn't find a Master of Waves to really power right through either of those cards. So they basically they locked me out of the game with this combo, and eventually found a way to win the game. So round 9, I lost to humans. I'm X and 3, not super thrilled, but you know, whatever. You got to play out the tournament. I'm not going to drop just because I'm X and 3. I can still get the list published if I can go deep enough. And then in round 10, I'm up against Tron. That's exactly what I want to face. Fairy Conclaves and my main deck Spell Pierces and all my 2-drops. Love it. Bring on more Tron. And I rolled this opponent. Just completely rolled them. They didn't have a chance in game 1. They didn't have a chance in game 2 either. I have all the answers. You know, I have the Spell Pierces. I have the Tectonic Edges. It's just an overwhelming amount of interaction for that deck. So the deck was very well positioned against Tron. I wish I saw Tron all day. I could see Tron players to my left, to my right. Unfortunately, I didn't play against as much Tron as I would have liked. So I completely destroyed this deck. Really nice opponent. But yeah, so that was I was able to continue going X3 in the Grand Prix. Then next for round 11, I'm up against Mardu Pyromancer. Now, this was sort of a close one. So in game 1, I did roll them, just putting tons of pressure on the board. They could not deal with one threat after another, and eventually I was able to steal a game. But in game 2, they had a very healthy life total. I could only get them down to 14, but they had just so much removal, and they just ground me out so well that I could not do anything about it. You know those young Pyromancer decks, those Mardu Pyromancer decks, they have so much grind to them. It's like they have infinite removal sometimes. And yeah, so I ended up losing game 2. And then again in game 3, I remember that it went super long. This match like almost went to time. Again, it was like a super attrition based game, and my opponent was at 10 life, and I needed like just a few more power on the board. I can't remember, but it came... Oh, now I remember. I was going to win, but I need to save myself 1 more life. 1 more life. My opponent has a good clock in the air with Lingering Souls. And if I had the option very early on to block a Lingering Soul with a Fairy Conclave when they had like 4 souls out and my life total was at 16... And if I blocked 1 soul token, their clock goes from like a 4-turn clock to a set like at least a 6-turn clock. Yeah, 6. So that gives me a lot of turns, and it was the turns that I needed to win the game. I didn't get the idea of chump blocking to earn some turns until a turn later, and it was a turn too late. So I could have saved myself 1 more turn. If I could block with this Fairy Conclave, I elected not to, and then my life total was just too far out of reach. Because I remember I just looked at the top of my deck. Oh, it was because I needed Echoing Truth for Ensnaring Bridge. That's why. They had an Ensnaring Bridge on the board. So annoying. Top of my deck was Echoing Truth, but I needed 1 more turn to see it. So I ended up losing Mardu Pyromancer. Tough matchup, of course. And even worse, the fact that Ensnaring Bridge super popular in that tournament in Mardu Pyromancer. I don't know the latest lists at that time. Jerry Thompson was running it, and I got rolled by it. And I wish I had like a 4th Echoing Truth in my sideboard at the time. But you know, it's tough. But unfortunately, if I could earn myself one more turn, I could have won that match. So I'm X4, which I'm not super thrilled with because I have 4 more rounds to go, and I would prefer to finish X4. X5 is like fine, but X4 is where that's like the worst I sort of want to be. You know, when you're X4, you can get your list published sometimes, or at least you can be in like the top 150 of the tournament. So round 12, I'm up against Ponza. They have no chance. I mean, they like blow up some lands, but it's not really relevant. Ether Vial and the Lords just, you know, it's more than enough to close out the game. I don't really have to say much about this. They barely damaged me. There was a game, okay, so in game 1 they got completely rolled over. Their interaction was useless. And in game 2 they did get a board going. I believe they had, what's it called? The Titan, Inferno Titan, making things very difficult on me. But there was a point where I could stabilize with Merfolk Trickster, tapping that thing down and counterattacking for the win. So it was a pretty good, as we all know, as Merfolk players, Ponza is a really easy matchup. A lot of those land destruction cards don't really affect us. We have a pretty good clock. So yeah, I'm still X and 4 after round 12. Now, I'm up against Jeskai Control, and this was, I was able to steal game 1 by just beating my opponent down, but in game 2 it was a super long game. I couldn't really shuffle the opponent's deck. Every single time they fetch, you just sort of have to cut it. We went super long. These control matchups in competitive REL, they become super grindy and they take forever, just trading resources like crazy. And there was a point where my opponent did have to, I believe it was Teferi. They had a point where they were accumulating so much card advantage that I could not do really anything about it, and they won game 2. And then in game 3, we were going to go to time, and we ended up going to time. We have 5 turns left, and my opponent had like a Colonnade out, and I had a Lord of Atlantis out. And my opponent very graciously, I was at 12 life, my opponent was at 4 life, and I was willing to take the draw if they wanted to. We're X and 4, and my opponent very graciously conceded to me. His name was Tyler Milner. Tyler Milner. Thank you very much for graciously conceding to me. Honestly, he didn't have to. I think the game could have gone either way. I mean, I have a Lord of Atlantis out, and, you know, one Island Walker could change everything. Or like just another creature could change everything. Like, I believe that we were basically empty-handed. We had nothing going on. They had a Colonnade, I had a Lord of Atlantis. I had more life, they had less life, but really, like, one good Cryptic Command or, I don't know, Electrolyze could change everything in their favor. They decided to concede to me because they thought, like, I just had the better chances of winning. I did have a lot of manlands. By the way, these manlands helped so much. Fairy Conclave was amazing in this tournament. It helped me so much against Jeskai Control. So I ended up beating one Jeskai Control opponent. Next, we have round 14. I'm still X and 4. I'm up against Jeskai Control again. And I win in very spectacular fashion in game 1. It was really exciting because I had 2 Dismembers in my hand. I thought, oh my god, these Dismembers are dead. So my opponent electrolyzes one of my creatures, and in response, I dismember the damn thing. And on top of that, they try to I got the beat down really quickly. Their life total went from like 8 to 4, but around 8 life, they tried to Lightning Helix one of my lords. So I dismembered my lord to make sure that they couldn't gain any life, and that's when I was able to close out the game. Their life total was just low enough that I was able to beat them, so I got a good game 1. And then game 2 just went on for forever. My score sheet actually shows like life totals going all the way down, and then I have to reset all the way back at the top. So yeah, it was a crazy insane game where I eventually lose at 3 life. They're at 1. Like, those manlands make it so grindy. There was a point in this game where I attacked with like all my elementals from a Master of Ways. They played Settle the Wreckage, and I was able to extract every island out of my deck. So every top deck should be live, except I drew an Ether Vial, and then I drew another Ether Vial. Ugh, so annoying. But aside from that, it was still straight gas every single turn after turn after turn after turn. And as you can see, this game went like on for forever. Like, all these things represent turns for the most part, because those the damage spells coming from Jeskai Control was mostly going after my creatures. So they were very close to dead at one, but I couldn't close the game out, and they played a Vendilion Click, and they were able to attack with it for victory. And then in the last game, like, there was like 2 or 1 minute left on the clock. We knew we had to play super fast. So I have a pretty good hand of like Lords and some interaction, and my opponent kept a hand with like a bunch of Snapcaster Mages, and like turn 2, Snapcaster Mage, turn 3, Snapcaster Mage, get in for that beatdown. They actually started wailing on my life total. I actually got down as low as 6 life, but still, my Lords were more important. They didn't really have enough interaction for the creatures, and my attack was faster, and I believe I made one timely deprive to prevent them from interacting with the creatures, so I was able to win that match. I believe we went to time on that one as well, but we had to play really fast. You gotta play fast in these control matchups. Can't take too much time thinking, because they're gonna go to time. They're super long and grindy, so just keep that in mind whenever you're in a control matchup right now. So still X and 4, and going into the last round, I know I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good. Yeah, let's play. Maybe we can finish off X and 4. Nice finish. I'm up against Infect, and boy, am I excited, because I got 4 Tricksters. I got 4 Harbinger of the Tides, 4 Dismembers, and I'm like, oh my god, I am so excited about this matchup. This is going to be great. And I end up winning the first game pretty comfortably. It was not the way I thought it would. I ended up spreading seizing them 3 times to nail them off of all their green mana, so that their like Blighted Agent couldn't even do anything. And then I believe I killed the Blighted Agent with like a Dismember as well, and they were only left with like, I don't think they were left with anything. Then they played like Inkmoth Nexus, and I spreading seized that. I believe I played all 4 spreading seizes this game. It was an unusual way to beat Infect, but that's how it was done. Game 2, I didn't have enough interaction for what they had. I mean, they were playing like a bunch of, they was playing with Rancor in that deck. That's sometimes difficult to beat, because it's like a pump spell that keeps coming back. So anyway, I couldn't deal with them. They ended up annihilating me. And then in the third game, I had, unfortunately, not the right interaction for my opponent, and they had Spellskite on the board, and that Spellskite into Blighted Agent, and that was difficult. And they had double Rancor. How on earth do I beat this combo? And unfortunately, I didn't have the right interaction. I did have some things like Merfolk Trickster and Dismember, but unfortunately, whatever I try to if I try to target the Blighted Agent in any way, then it will just get misdirected to the Spellskite. So I was able to deal with one Blighted Agent by playing Trickster into Dismember, but they got their Rancors back, and the real crux of this game is that I was only on 3 mana. I have Deprive in hand, but I couldn't really do what I wanted to do in this match. And in the end, they had another Blighted Agent, and I didn't have enough mana to counter it on its way down, and that Blighted Agent was enough to beat me. A little disappointing ending X5, especially against a matchup I thought was really good for me. Really, really, really good. We have so much interaction for the Infect matchup with that list that I played. But that's just how it is sometimes. So I ended up finishing X5, and my plan was to play in the PTQ on the following day. So let's look at that. So I'm in the PTQ. It's 6 rounds long, and I'm up against Affinity, and they roll me super hard. Game 1, it's like Mox Opal into land into, I don't know, what's it called? Land, Springleaf Drum, or Ornithopter, and then next turn was like, I don't know, Cranial Plating into Vault Scourge, and I got killed super hard. And then they had played another plating. I did not have a chance. Moving on to game 2, I also didn't really have a chance. They got me with Whip Flare. I remember that. They actually played pretty well. They had Galvanic Blast and Whip Flare, so that was the real problem. They I played one Lord, and they did Galvanic Blast it, which was unfortunate. And then, unfortunately, I didn't have 2 more Lords in my hand, and I ended up just playing like Creature into Lord, and they Whip Flared that whole board away. And so I had a little bit of time. They played patiently, but after getting blown out for so many cards, I ran out of gas, and I got annihilated. So unfortunately, starting off X1 in the PTQ, not where I want to be. I'm up against Mardu Pyromancer in round 2, and I beat my opponent pretty quickly in round 1. I can't remember what the circumstances were. I just remember they could not really do what they wanted to do. I remember they were stuck on something. They got unlucky. I think they mulliganed down to 5, and they just ran out of gas really, really quickly, and I beat them. And then this is where... No, I don't think this is the match. But anyway, in the second game, I do remember they got mana screwed. They were full. Their hand was full of 3-drops like Blood Moon and Kolaghan's Command and Lingering Souls, but they were stuck on 2 lands, and I wiped them off the board. So that was my round 2 Mardu Pyromancer match. Now, in round 3... I'm up against Mardu Pyromancer again, and I win game 1 because I Spreading Seas them off all their colored lands. So they were stuck on 2 lands as well, but I was able to Spreading Seas them off their mana, and 2 Spreading Seas ended up winning the game for me. That was great. In game 2, I lost. They had a super healthy life total, so I can only imagine that they just beat me down with what looks like they were beating me down for 2 damage a turn. So I guess it was just a young Pyromancer that was beating my head in or something like that. And I didn't have enough stuff on the board. Now this is where I start taking the draw against young Pyromancer. I'm on the draw, and I decide, or sorry, I have my choice to be on the play or the draw. And I know from my prior experience, like there's so many games where if you're on the play, and of course we side out our Ether Vials, if we're on the play, and we can run out of gas really quickly. We cannot keep all our 7-card hands. We have to mulligan sometimes. That's not great against a deck that's so full of gas. I think we can take the draw. So this is the start where I decide to experiment with taking the draw, and I overloaded their removal. Like I had more threats than they had answers, and I was able to grind out that game, and that gave me the start of what made me believe that maybe we should be taking the draw against Mardu Pyromancer. Now, round 4, I'm up against humans, and I'm up against a fan, actually, from, I believe it was Big Magic from Japan. I didn't know at the time. It's nice playing against Japanese players because they can read my cards. I have these foil Japanese cards. So, game 1, all I can remember is that I wasn't really in this game. I was sort of on the back foot the entire time, and I got a little lucky because my opponent threw away some Mantis Riders into like Merfolk Trickster. Like I believe they knew about the Merfolk Trickster, and I was able to eat up a Mantis Rider even in spite of that. And then we road blocked the board for quite a while until eventually they found a winning line. Unfortunately, my life total was too low to make a counterattack. I could never be the aggressor because they had such a good start with these stupid Mantis Riders, and their life total was so healthy. They were at 14. And so with me at 4, them at 14, I wasn't in a really good position to try to go for the win or anything like that. I depended on a Master of Waves or a Spreading Seas, which really never materialized, so I eventually lost that game. They overpowered me with like just way larger, bigger creatures. And something similar happened in game 2. I didn't dent them. I didn't even deal them 1 damage. They just crippled me all the way down to death. There was just nothing I could do about that. So that's how it is. I don't have a lot of power in that particular list. It had like 4 Merfolk Tricksters, 4 Harbinger of the Tides. These are very interactive cards, but Dismember is not really the good it's not as good of interaction as I would like it to be. Dismember isn't really where you want to be against humans because it still takes too much damage. I mean, I'll play it if I have to, but in the end, I actually think humans is just way too aggressive to afford that 4 damage that you take. It's just enormous. Maybe 1 Dismember is fine, but 2 is too much. And I definitely took that damage in this game. I shot myself in the foot, and it's just the deck was very interactive at the time, but not particularly amazing in the humans matchup, and I didn't have the powerful answers to combat them. So, well, I'm now X and 2, and unfortunately, like, you get prizes for X and 3, but I really want to be X and 2. You get way more prizes for that. And I'm up against Grixis Control. I'm pretty happy about that matchup. We have so many man lands. I have so many relics. I have so much interaction. It's perfect. And I end up losing game 1 because we don't have the perfect interaction in game 1. There's not as many counter spells as I would like, but I side in all the goods, and I play the game exactly as I want to play it. They have Field of Ruin for the man lands, but there's still too many man lands, and in addition to that, there's just so much interaction. They have like Tassigers and what's it called? Search for Ascantus, but they don't matter. I just have too much pressure, and they don't have Supreme Verdict, so I don't have to worry about putting too many cards on the board. I believe they had Engineered Explosives, but it wasn't enough for me to be scared of it. And I played the patient control matchup game that I want to have against Grixis Control. I brought in those Tectonic Edges, hurt their mana, and it made a big difference. Like, I won game 2, and it made a big difference in game 3 because they were short mana from doing exactly what they wanted to do. They could not chain multiple spells in one turn, and I put them down to 3 life, and then it was all over. So I won against Grixis Control in round 5, so I'm still X and 2, and then lastly I'm up against humans, and I'm able to win game 1 on the back of, I believe it was Spreading Seas and a bunch of Lords. My opponent had a great start, really beating my face down, but then it started to slow. It started to slow down, and I was able to swing for Exacxes on in the end. I can't remember if it was like a big Master of Waves that stabilized the board, but I was at 1 life, and I was able to kill them when they were at 17 life. And then in game 2, I just got rolled over. It was one of those starts where humans just has so much aggression, and the Mantis Riders, it's sickening, and you can't really interact with them very well. And once you're on the back foot, it's very hard to counterattack or threaten lethal or anything like that. So this was a match where I was getting my head kicked in, and their life total was at 19. And I don't exactly remember how game 3 went, but I did win it. I won the last one. So I was able to finish the PPTQ X and 2. I won a bunch of tickets, as you saw. I ended up buying, where is it? I got myself a box of Dominaria. Ta-da! Don't know what I'm going to do with this box. Maybe I'll open it all up at Fusion and sell it to them. I don't know. Okay, so some like recap overall of the event. I loved meeting so many people, and I also, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but it is maybe bad that everyone knows who I am. I'm the Merfolk player. This was the first tournament that so many people knew who I was before I even sat down. I believe about 1/3 of my opponents knew who I was before I sat down. Even Jerry Thompson was like, Zacek. I remember, I recall that name from somewhere, but I don't exactly know where it is. I want to say you play Merfolk, but I'm not sure. That's what he said in our round. So anyway, that was very interesting. I love meeting all the fans. Thank you for all the gifts that you gave me. It's been now posted on the wall. We got the foil True Name Nemesis. We've got like the elemental token over here. Thank you very much for the gifts. I'd like to thank Michael Jacks for letting me stay at his place, offering me his couch for the weekend of Las Vegas. And also shout out to the Cheese Boy crew with Jacob and the rest of them. Yeah, so I'd like to thank all of you who make these vlogs possible. So this is going to be all for now. I believe my next GP might be Portland in December, because I do have free entry to a GP thanks to Channel Fireball massively screwing up this Grand Prix. Could have ran better. So anyway, this has been Nikachu for his vlog of Grand Prix Las Vegas.